CARICOM Development Fund signs agreement for $4 million concessionary loan with Grenada. Details to this story and more in the National Report. With the details to the news for Tuesday, May 3rd, 2022, I am Christian Mitchell. The CARICOM Development Fund signed a loan and grant agreement with the government of Grenada on Tuesday for the second cycle of the Country Assistance Program. Acting Prime Minister and Minister for Finance, Honorable Gregory Bowen, signed on behalf of the government and the Grenada Development Bank, which is the implementing agency for the fund. It is a concessionary loan of $4 million at a rate of 3% and a grant of $520,000. Minister Bowen says this will assist small and medium-sized enterprises who have been significantly impacted by COVID-19. Minister Bowen says the government of Grenada is committed to the sustainable development of small and medium-sized enterprises.
The concessionary loan of $4 million at a rate of 3% and a grant of $520,000 create the opportunity for these MSMEs to access affordable financing from CDB to diversify, modernize, transition, and develop, thereby improving liquidity and economic viability that will result in job creation, economic development, preserving the environment as we strive to attain the National Sustainable Development Plan 2020-2035 and the second nationally determined contribution.
The Finance Minister also highlighted the importance of an injection of finance into the local economy. Chief Executive Officer of the CARICOM Development Fund, Rodinal Suma, signed on the behalf of the CDF. Mr. Suma says the CDF remains a valuable partner to the government of Grenada.
The significance of this for us is that this is the single largest line of credit that the CDF has done with any development finance institution in the region. And I think, it is indicative of our preparedness to respond to the needs of member states. And just to remember that that response is always couched within the context of our mandate, which is to pay particular attention to addressing the circumstances of disadvantage in the LDCs and other disadvantaged countries, regions, and sectors in CARICOM, which, of course, Grenada within the CARICOM system is classified as one. So with the 4.5 to the Development Bank, the grant for the Youth Enterprise Project, we have a total allocation of $5 million to Grenada, bringing your country program to a total of close to $6 million. Having already financed capacity building for the Grenada Bureau of Standards, as well as the Mirabeau meat processing facility.
Continuing the news, Grenada and other member states of the Organization of Eastern Caribbean States, OECS, have expressed concern about the plans by the United Kingdom to impose direct rule on the British Virgin Islands. Direct rule is one of the recommendations contained in the recent Commission of the Inquiry report, released just one day after the BVI premier was arrested in the United States on drug and money laundering charges. Grenada's Prime Minister and Chairman of the OECS Authority, Dr. the Right Honorable Keith Mitchell, initiated a special meeting of the OECS leaders on Monday to discuss the evolving situation in the BVI. An OECS statement after the meeting stated, and I quote, "It is clear to us that, in principle, it is ill-advised to impose direct colonial rule, and the history of such imposition in the Caribbean has never delivered the desired result. The OECS concurs with the elected representatives of the people of the BVI that abolition of Parliament with direct rule from London represents a retrograde step in the evolution of the democratic process that is inconsistent with the United Nations Proclamation of Human Rights to be free of colonial rule," unquote. In commenting on the BVI situation, Dr. Mitchell said the arrest of the BVI Premier and the Commission of Inquiry report are two separate issues which should not be connected.
We saw that two distinct issues that should not be connected at all. They may have some bearing on each other, but we don't see that was the conclusion of the inquiry and the decision of the British government as something that we can support. So the general feeling is that we don't understand why the British in the 21st century would be making decisions similar to what they have done years ago in other countries, which were not supported and over a period of time was seen as not a prize. We recall in Grenada in 1962 when literally they derailed the Eric Gary's government over some issues that today might almost be seen as laughable, and literally dismissed the government on those bases. And we think for them in the 21st century, given all the issues that has arisen over the years, to be imposing, making the same decision, it's not in their best interest. It's certainly not in the interest. It has never been in the interest of the region to have the colonial type decision. But in the case of the British, it certainly was, to me, to us, unwise to have that sort of conclusion.
Stay with us. The news will continue after the break.
Prices rising. Customers are screaming, wondering how they can stretch their dollar. Can their central banks improve their buying power? Your central bank weighs in on the next Caribbean Economic Forum entitled, How Can Central Banks Fight Inflation? Our guests from Barbados, Mr. Cleviston Haynes, Governor of the Central Bank of Barbados. From Jamaica, Mr. Richard Wells, Governor of the Bank of Jamaica, and Caribbean economist and economic advisor, Ms. Marla Ducoran. I'm your host, Tony Thorne. Join the Caribbean Economic Forum on Thursday, May the 5th at 8 p.m. Barbados time, 7 p.m. Jamaica time to learn how we can deal with inflation. Don't miss it.
Finance Minister Honorable Gregory Bowen has pointed to the importance of building resilience in the financial system in Grenada and the wider region to mitigate the devastating impacts of the loss of correspondent banking relationships. He was addressing the opening of the ACB Grenada Bank St. George's branch at the NIS building, Melville Street, St. George, on Sunday. Minister Bowen said, like the rest of the region, Grenada remains concerned about the impact the loss can have on the financial sector.
ACB's entry into Grenada follows the exit of several major Canadian banks, thus changing the landscape of the sector from one which was mainly extra-regionally owned to now having more regionally owned banks. This presents a plethora of opportunities, including that of shared interest pertaining to developmental issues and a greater appreciation for the operating environment.
Antigua Commercial Bank Limited, trading as ACB Caribbean as of March 2021, officially commissioned its third branch in Grenada since acquisition of the assets of RBC Grenada in April 2021. Minister Bowen added that government is committed to creating the enabling environment that will allow all financial intermediaries to fairly compete on the local market while providing cost-effective products and services to the public.
Over the last 5 years, growth in the financial sector averaged 4.4% per annum, with growth in the banking subsector averaging 3.5% over that same period. This significant contribution to Grenada's overall growth must be accentuated. The financial sector has weathered the pandemic very well so far. The government applauds the efforts of financial sector actors for the proactive role they have played in navigating the difficult financial and economic landscapes of the last 2 years. However, with continued strain on the economy from COVID-19 or the materialization of other risks, including from natural disasters, this sector could experience some major challenges.
General Manager of ACB Caribbean Group, Joanna Charles, says while the strategic intent of the bank is to become digital, they felt the two existing physical locations did not provide enough access to customers.
This expansion of what was the penny bank to a regional billion-dollar bank is evidence of the capability and fortitude of indigenous banks, who are now the major players in a sector long dominated by foreign institutions. The rise of indigenous banks across the region is something that, as Caribbean people, we should be proud and take a moment to consider the positive impact this will have on all of our economies and our psyche as a people. With this strategic opening of our third location here in Grenada, we are extremely pleased to be present in downtown St. George, where we will offer convenient and accessible banking to the wider community. Among the slew of services ACB Grenada Bank offers, our suite of products will include personal and business options, as well as a robust online interface with innovative and convenient services accessible via the ACB Smart app.
ACB Caribbean Group, she says, holds an audited assets base of over 1 billion EC dollars. The Hillsborough Botanical Garden revitalization project in CARICOM was officially launched over the weekend, signaling the start of beautification and celebrating major strides made on the project to date. Work includes fencing of the parameters, topography, horticulture, construction of benches and gazebos, a children's playground and interpretation center, picnic area, and a boardwalk over the nearby Hillsborough Pond, which is also incorporated in the project. The project, by Honorable Kindra Maturin Stewart, Minister for CARICOM and Petite Martinique Affairs and Local Government, is being undertaken by the Division of Agriculture in the Ministry of CARICOM and Petite Martinique Affairs and Local Government. Minister Maturin Stewart says the project was promised during the 2018 election campaign and is happy to see it come to fruition.
This green space in the heart of Hillsborough is meant really to add a therapeutic and rejuvenating atmosphere to the town. With all the vibe and flavor, it should be and it will be a park for relaxation, socializing for locals, and of course, a tourist attraction for visitors. When I conceptualized this project about 4 years ago, I visualize a place where families, couples, and individuals can come to relax, to meditate, to socialize, to court, to date, and to enjoy a natural environment away from concrete and architecture.
Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of CARICOM and Petite Martinique Affairs, Ms. Ralda Kwamina, and resident of the community, Benson Roberts, spoke to the history and importance of the gardens to the people of CARICOM and Petite Martinique.
The intent is to ensure that with all that we are having, we had COVID, we still have COVID, it's not yet done. We don't know what else is coming that would cause us to be enclosed, to be closed up. So places like the Botanical Gardens offers us a place for releasing, for maintaining our sanity. We need to get back to nature, to thank God and to bring God back. And this is one of the spots that would bring us back to that nature and reverence.
There is things to be done inside here. And we're asking the people if they could support the garden, support whatever is doing inside here. It's not mine, it's not the minister, it's all of us own.
That story has brought us to the end of the National Report for Tuesday, May 3rd, 2022. On behalf of the entire news and production team here at the Government Information Service, I am Kristen Mitchell saying thank you for joining us. Until next time.